Food 143 viewers, I'm Catherine Harvey and this is Food 143. What's better than Cohasset in the summer? Ask most Cohasset residents and they'll say nothing is better, except maybe the foods we love prepared and enjoyed at some of our favorite spots around town. I've been here 15 years and I still haven't covered it all. So I'm going out and about around town to find out all the things Cohasset residents love about food. What we like to eat, where we like to eat it, and how we like it prepared. So come along. I'm Catherine Harvey, and I've been in town for 15 years. I've raised both my kids here, who are now a junior in high school and a freshman in college, hard to believe. Those of you who know me know that I am food crazy. I love to cook, I love to bake, I love dining out. I am super curious about food. I always want to know what other people are eating, what they're preparing, how they do it, why they do it that way. I love talking to chefs and restaurant people. I worked in restaurants for years. I just want to satisfy some of my curiosity and bring you along with me on this sort of journey of discovery, and we can find out more about our own little town. Some of you may remember the very first episode we did of this show, which I believe was 8 years ago, and we are now back for more. Welcome back, viewers. This is Food 143, and I'm your host, Catherine Harvey. Today, we are exploring one of my favorite things, which is bread. We are at this beautiful property at the home of Alec White, and he is going to introduce us to his bakery, Alecco Bakery. Welcome back, Food 143 viewers. Today, we are visiting with Alec White, and we are going to learn about Alecco Bakery. Alec, tell us a little bit about where we are and about what you do.
So we are currently in Cohasset, Massachusetts on Holly Hill Farm in my parents' kitchen. I was working in New York, in Brooklyn, New York. March of 2020, when COVID came, I decided to leave New York and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I came home with my brother, and my brother was like, why don't you just start trying to sell bread? I talked to the farm, Holly Hill Farm, to ask them if I could sell bread down there. And luckily for me, the other bread vendor that was selling to Holly Hill Farm stopped. So it worked out perfectly. So
it was meant to be.
It was meant to be, yeah.
The perfect spot right in your backyard.
I sold 8 loaves the first time and just slowly picked up from there. I had problems expanding at some point, but that's a great problem to have. And now I'm looking for my own space.
So you're gonna abandon Mom's kitchen?
Yeah.
Oh no, is she happy about that, to reclaim?
I think so.
Fantastic, and so for right now, you're in a couple of farmers markets,
Yep.
Is that right?
I am in Cohasset Farmers Markets from 2 to 6 on Thursdays, the Hingham Market from 9 to 1 on Saturdays. I also sell at Holly Hill Farm on Saturday mornings, and I sell to Peggotty Provisions on Saturday mornings. They're an online food delivery service. And I also sell to Market Today. That's Wednesdays, and they're also an online food delivery service too.
That's pretty good coverage within, Hingham, Scituate, Cohasset. That's fantastic. So tell me how you got started baking bread.
Well, I was in high school actually. It was like our winter vacation. Instead of giving us vacation home, they take the whole school to Killington.
I like it. That's
and they had these little waffle shops down below. And I fell in love with those waffles. And I said, I want to make those waffles. And one summer in college, I decided to make waffles for Holly Hill Farm as like my summer job. Then I went to New York, this was right after college, and worked at Saks Fifth Avenue in one of the restaurants. Then I went to the Culinary Institute of America And I slowly just like said, I want to become a bread baker. I did a couple of bread classes and I was like, ooh, I love to make bread. This is it.
That's fantastic. Well, tell me a little bit about your process.
Baking's all about time and temperature and like patience. So my sourdough breads are naturally leavened, naturally fermented bread. So I have a starter here, and this is just flour and water. And I just every day rinse and repeat, put new flour and water. If I'm not baking or if I'm not in production, I will have it I will cut down the size of it and just make little batches of it to keep it going.
Just to keep it going.
So for like anybody at home wondering, like if you feed your starter every day, that's the best way to make great bread.
You heard it here. Feed it every day.
Feed it every day. You gotta constantly feed your starter, either once, twice, or 3 times a day. But 1 time a day is good enough.
All right, so which variety are we starting with?
So this is my plain country levain sourdough. So it has no extras in it. So there's no olives, no seeds. It's just a plain country levain sourdough. The night before I mix, I build my starters, and it will grow all the way to the top of that 20-quart container. And then the next day, I add more flour, more water, and I start making the dough. Mix it for about 5 minutes to incorporate it, and then I do a autolyse. Basically, it makes the dough stronger. If you let the dough sit in the mixer and you just let it sit there and do nothing, the fermentation in the gluten will get stronger on its own.
So it develops just by resting?
Just by
sitting
resting.
In the...
So I don't have to keep on mixing it. And in my personal opinion, I think less oxidized is better tasting bread. And I do 2 minutes on fast speed on the mixer. And then after that, I take all the dough out of the mixer. I add different ingredients to the different breads, and then I let it sit for another 45 minutes, and then I do another fold just to make sure the dough gets a little bit stronger. And then I let it sit for another 25 minutes just to let the dough ferment more. And then I start dividing the dough.
So you're portioning it out for the lunch now?
Portioning it out, yep, for the farmer's market right now.
Something that I think a lot of home cooks experience with bread baking is that oftentimes, the recipes are not incredibly precise, and it's really sort of based on feel, and I think people are intimidated by that. But I see that you're employing a lot of precision in your method and in your measuring, and I think that might surprise some home cooks.
I think bread and baking is like a science. So if you're a home baker, I would say the best tool that you can have as a home baker is to have a scale. If I pour too much water into my dough, it completely changes the dough. So it is very important that you measure like to the precise degree so you always get that consistency.
I was going to ask you about the adjustments that you have to make for the humidity in the air, on a dry day or a humid day.
I use 2 thermometers, so I check the dough temperature. For me, I like the dough temperature to be around 75. It's a workable temperature for me to get through all of my dough, so I don't overproof it. If you're making small batches of dough, fermentation and yeast, the best temperature is around like 78 to like 81 degrees. For your dough temperature, that's when the yeast will really work really well. I don't do that because the fermentation goes too fast for me and I can't keep up with it.
Right, because you're working with such a large piece. Yes, it would continue to rise before you could get to the end of it. Which brings me to your setup in this kitchen. I see everything you need and nothing you don't. You've got great shelving back here, just your ingredients close at hand in large quantity, and 2 fabulous workspaces here on these 2 counters, plus your table behind you. It's very efficiently laid out.
that has been a process.
So there's been some adaptation to your parents' kitchen over time? Is that what you're telling
A lot
us?
of adaptation over time. So when I first started out, I didn't have any of this equipment, and I would just use a couple of containers. I would use Dutch ovens, like 2 cast iron pans, and put the bread in there. And I have 2 home ovens, and I would do it that way. At one point, I realized I needed to make much more bread, but I couldn't find an oven that would fit in this house that would work. A commercial oven wouldn't fit in this house.
And you have to get the upgraded electrical service to support those.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I found a company in Belgium that sold an oven. It's called a Rocco oven, and it can fit 12 loaves of bread in it. And that took about 6 months to get here.
Wow. You know, it makes it, I'm sure, a little bit complicated to try and get the family meals taken care of when you're here.
So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a pre-shape. Basically what I do here is I just make them into little round loaves. It helps build some structure in the gluten.
So you're using your bench scraper, you're bringing it towards you from right to left, and at the same time, sort of dragging the loaf along with your left hand.
Yeah, every baker, if you go to all different types of bakeries, they will have a certain way for you to shape their bread.
It's a very gentle
It is
method
very
as I'm
gentle.
watching you.
Yes. So you don't want to rip the dough because else you'll break the gluten structure. And that doesn't make the dough look so nice to the customer when it comes out, the final product.
Right. I am learning a lot from you today.
Every time I load bread into the oven, on each deck, I do about 5 to 7 seconds of spraying water. So 2 reasons why I do that. First, it makes the bread look shiny, like it gives the crust a nice like shiny crust. And then second reason why I do that is because when you put steam on the bread, it will delay the crust from forming. So when you, hopefully, if I steam it right, you won't be having a huge like bite of crust.
Right.
So you'll have like a thin layer of crust, crunchy crust, but then the inside will be like the white, fluffy,
Nice
crummy,
tender crumb.
inside. When I was at my first bakery, I always struggled with throwing the right amount of flour down on the bench. Flour, if you put too much flour on, the dough doesn't stick. And people don't like sticky dough, but it's the only way to get it to shape the way you want it to shape.
Yep.
So you have to be able to find like that medium ground where you're not working with too much flour, but the dough's also not sticking to you constantly.
Right, just a little bit tacky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked all about your method, and now I'm wondering if you'll let me have a go. Maybe give me some coaching.
So you have the dough. It's very sticky.
Yeah.
So you just fold the dough up a little bit. And then you fold it up again like that. And you just keep on folding. And then what you want to do is you want to have your hands
Like a right angle?
at like the right angle, yeah. And then you try and want to like move it,
Rotate it, sort of.
rotate it around.
Okay. I'm just traveling a little bit while I'm
Yep.
doing mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And now they're gonna proof again.
Yep, they're on a bench rest for another 15 minutes.
Okay, so in the last step we did the pre-shaping.
Pre-shaping, yep.
And so now we're gonna pick it up with,
The final shape.
okay,
So-
final shape.
The final shape is, they call it a batard, and it kind of looks like it's supposed to kind of look like a football almost.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is you're going to try to get the dough fat up top long this way, and then skinny and like
Sort of
pointing down.
triangle.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
okay, great. Okay,
Awesome.
great.
Just like that.
Okay,
And then you're going to pick it up and just put, yep, just like that. Get both hands. You're gonna stretch the dough a little bit this way. Fold one side in, and then fold the other side on top. Roll it over, and try and make it so there's like a little seam at the bottom like this. It's a little bit tough. Yeah, that's good.
how's that?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then
you want it seam side up?
seam side up, yep. And then we
I
will,
need a little throw, I think.
well, yep, try a little throw, yeah.
Probably a little too much.
And then you can just roll it in the flour. Then you can put it in a baton.
So what happens after you've shaped them? Are they gonna rise again?
Yep, I cover them in bags so they don't dry out. And I put them in refrigerators all around my house. As you guys can tell, I have a lot of refrigerators in here. And I try to let them rise for 16 hours.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then I take them out of the fridge and bake them. The method that I do is called retarding. Retarding slows down the fermentation process. So if you put yeast into a cold environment, it slows it down, and it creates more flavor.
So these loaves then will be going to the Cohasset Farmers Market
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes. And you can put that one just like that. Awesome.
Thank you.
And if you come tomorrow, I can have that loaf all ready for you.
It's not necessarily saleable. Tell me what it's like to have your customers be people here in town.
It's kind of a crazy feeling that people like my bread so much. It's very gratifying. All of my bread has regional grains. I get rye berries and whole wheat berries from this mill called Ground Up in Hadley, Massachusetts. And they get their berries from all these New England farms all over New England.
I think people appreciate the skill and the time that goes into an artisan product.
I am super grateful that they like my product so much, and I love what I do, so I hopefully will be able to keep on doing that for a very long time. So this is the oven that I use. It's called a Rocco oven. It came from Belgium. Here's the inside of it. It can fit 4 loaves on each deck, so it can fit 12 loaves total and 12 baguettes total. So what I do is I first put the bread onto these boards, and I put 4 on here, and then I score them with a lame. So it's the thing that comes down the middle of the loaf, and then I spray them with water on this table, and then I load them into the oven, and then I spray them with more water. My baguettes I cook for about 20 minutes, and then my sourdoughs I cook for around 30 to 35 minutes, around 460 Fahrenheit. For sourdoughs and baguettes, 500 Fahrenheit.
This bread is unbelievable. The crust alone is worth every penny you're going to spend on this bread. It's, I'm here every week, every week getting a loaf or 2. The newest one that he's got is this rosemary currant that is just out of this world. It's really versatile, and he's a fabulous guy.
On behalf of Cohasset, Situate, and Hingham that we are grateful that you are here. And I know that for myself, I'm very grateful that you shared all your process with us today.
Thanks for coming too.
Yeah. Well, viewers, I don't know about you, but I am famished. I'm ready for some delicious bread, and I am going to grab a sample that Alec very generously shared with me. And so that's it for us. Thanks so much for joining us today with Alec White at Alecco Bakery.
I like to eat apples and bananas. I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.